celebrating the power of possibility.
I am Oscar Grandas, and I believe anything is possible.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. My name is Howard Hilton Hill. My guest today is Dr. Oscar Grandas. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You know, I said this to you when we were talking to our crew here when we started. I was in your office, and you walked into the room, and there was this presence about you. Even before you started talking to me, it was the way you looked at me. Mm-hmm. It was, I've met a lot of people, right? I've been around a lot of places, but it was the way you looked at me. And it was, I guess the word I would use is compassion, right? There was a kindness and a compassion on your face before you even said any words. And you took a beat. You walked in, you looked at me, and you paused for a second, and I guess the best way I can describe it is you saw me. Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment, before you said any words, I was like, wait a minute, how did he get a heart like that? Mm-hmm. So that's where I want to start in our conversation. Mm-hmm. What was that I observed?
So being a physician, it's not just knowing medicine. It's knowing your patients, knowing what you can provide for those patients and what those patients need from you. And that's not just in the medical record. It's because we have to be prepared. We read about the medical history, what's happening, then you try to put that together. But when you start talking to a patient, you have to realize that there's a person in front of you with a need. And is that a need that I can provide a solution for or not? Can I help you today with the problem that you have? Maybe not just today, but it may be a long-term problem. And that's the way I approach basically every patient. How can I help you today? Because I think what you have and I have, we can put it together for you to have a better life, to you to be healed. And I think at the end is that how can I help you heal? Because if I cannot help you heal, I cannot fulfill my role.
How many patients do you see a day?
So it's all depends. So I have, some days I do what we call my clinic. In my clinic, I see close to 40 patients on Mondays and Thursdays. On my operating days, I have basically two types of operations. One, what we call the open operations. I usually do 3 of those. And in the other room, I do what we call the endovascular operations, and I do 6 or 8 cases a day.
How many transplant surgeries have you done in your career?
Close to 600, maybe more, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I saw that day, and I've been excited about having you here. I'm honored to have you here. But what I saw that day, it wasn't medical. Because if you're seeing 40 people, there's no way after 40 people you can come in and be present. That didn't seem medical. It seemed spiritual. But I don't know you, but there's something else there. So take me back to your childhood. Take me back to the beginning of your life. I want to see if I can find the source code, because you got a swag, you got a mojo. I don't know what it is.
All right, so I am from Colombia. So I grew up in I would say middle class family. My dad was a contractor. He will build homes one at a time. And he will have to sell the house in order to make enough profits to build the next house and for us to have a place to live. My mom was an accountant, and she basically ran the family. She was the direction of the family. Both of them a very religious Catholic upbringing. I went to all boys Catholic school, K to 12. We moved multiple times because of that. That was that business. In order for him to sell the house and have the profit, we have to move to another home and so on. So we have several homes, but always in the same neighborhood. And he always made sure, and my mom too, that was close to our school because she wanted to make sure, and my dad to make sure that we went to that particular Catholic school. The Catholic school was run by a group of priests that her idea of service was to provide education, access to education for people who didn't have the means. So they were running both a private school, that was the one I went, but just 5 blocks from there, you cross the street, and like in big cities, there is one street is the middle class neighborhood, the other street was the poor neighborhood, very poor people who may not have what to eat. Families where multiple families will live in one household, so both of them, basically the priest will run both of them. When I was trying to make a decision about my career, I did have a conflict actually with my family, because I have decided at that point that I wanted to be a religious person.
You wanted to be a priest?
Yes.
Aha.
So
now, it's interesting because I said to you what I saw wasn't medical, it was spiritual. And for you to tell me this, oh, this is good.
So no, I didn't actually have told that much to that many people, not even to my kids for a long time. And it was like my mom and dad said, you cannot be a priest because you won't be able to make a living. We respect the priests that take care of us and that have given all the teaching and have basically raised you with us. But it's difficult. And this group, we have to, if I was going to go in that direction, and we have to be working in the very poor areas. And I remember the seminar was in what we call a very, very poor neighborhood with no water, no electricity. The electricity was basically taken away from other people. There were no sewage. So that was where the seminar was. So now I will tell my family about that, and they were not happy about that.
Possibility powered by Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Now you can listen while you're on the go with Anything is Possible, the podcast.
Why did you want to be a priest? Why?
Because of the service I was able to provide to them. It was like I believe in education, and I believe that education will bring people out of that situation.
Was there a priest or was there a leader in your community that you saw serving people that inspired you?
Yeah, the principal of the school, and the principal of the school was this priest who was amazing. He was the philosophy teacher, he was a religion teacher when he was with us, but he was also, I will see him walking from the private school through my school, through my neighborhood. My house was there, and he will walk to the poor neighborhood and start his afternoon classes and evening classes. So I saw him and his commitment to help people to get out of that situation where they were, because poverty without education is the worst, because it leads to violence, it leads to despair, it leads to many things. So education was kind of the lighting guide for them, because it may be an opportunity to be out of this situation. And I learned from him.
Tell me about Colombia at this time.
Not good socially. So Colombia has always been a country of conflict. I remember my dad telling me when he was younger, one of his jobs, when he was working for bank, and they will provide loans to farmers. And he will have to deliver the money to the farmers, and he will have to disguise himself, hide the money, because the conflict was so serious, where if they knew that you were from one political party and were going to get that loan, the other party will try to get that money, so you wouldn't be successful and you wouldn't have the land, so you will lose the land. That was when he was young. That then spilled in a significant political conflict that they tried to resolve by keeping the participation of the two parties in an even manner. So the elections where this period is going to be one party, the other period is going to be the other party of the president, but always led to a significant difference in people that have wealth, people that work, and poor people. And when I was growing up, was when we were in the pretty serious problems with the drug trafficking, because that was the way out of poverty for a lot of people. And unfortunately, that spilling violence, we did have to, as a family, have to see a lot of violence around us. I remember the issue was that they wanted to make sure there was no political stability, so they have a way to conduct their business. And they will bomb police stations. I know they bombed the grocery store a block from my house. And,
wow.
And that's when we were not safe, because it was not just about being with the good people and avoiding the bad people. It was about being there that was not safe.
Mm-hmm. So you're in that kind of an environment, in the middle of all of that, which is a little bit of instability and turmoil. You see this man of God who has committed his life to service. I would imagine that you noticed that he seemed to have great peace with that.
Yes.
Like, and he has that impact on you, and it's in the middle of that. Your parents thinking about, if you don't get an education and if you don't do well, you're going to struggle, because you can see the poverty just down the street. You see what the reality is. If you get swept up in the violence of the country, that could be a whole other thing. And now you're coming to them and saying, in the middle of all of that, I'm going to be a priest.
Exactly.
No, you're not.
So then I will say family pressure, and say, okay, then I need to make a decision. What can I do? Because I did respect my family, my mom and my dad.
You have siblings?
At that point, yes. I was the oldest one in the family. We were 3 brothers and a daughter, so my daughter was the little kid. And I was trying to make a decision, because any decision I will make also, I knew that it will affect everyone else. So that's when I found medicine as an option. I said, if I cannot do what I wanted to do, because obviously now I'm going to have to go against my family, and I didn't want to do that, then medicine may be the solution. Because if I want to be able to serve people who is in need and need somebody to help them, I can do it with medicine. And the other thing that was interesting was, like I said, okay, I'm going to also tell my family that they don't have to provide for me. I want to go to the public university, and I applied to the largest university in Bogota. And at that point, the only way to get in that place is if you score very high. You need to study and you need to get. So I have an internal motivation, said, okay, I need to prove to my family that I can do it on my own. Kind of, because I was still living with them and so on, but they didn't have to worry about paying for my tuition, or because I didn't know if they could either. So I was concerned about that, and I was fortunate enough that I went to the largest university in Bogota, in Colombia, is the National University of Colombia.
Were you Were you smart, or did you just work really hard, or both?
I think both. I think you have to have some type of skills where you can retain that knowledge, but also you need to learn how to study and be prepared. So I would say more like a focus. When I put myself to read and study, and I can focus on that, and I can say, okay, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And I think that type of attitude helped me when I came to the United States, because when I came to the United States, I'm already a physician. I was not as the other physicians. I was a foreign medical graduate, and I have to study and I have to know what to do. And it was the same situation. I need to prove that I can do it, and it's not just gonna be one more. I need to be in the top of my class for everyone to accept me.
Now, take us with you with Anything is Possible, the podcast. Stream new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts.
So you go to university. Mm-hmm. Did you thrive, or did you struggle, or both?
No, actually I did very well. I think my grades were good. I was part of the volleyball team in the university in my first 2-3 years in the university. And in Colombia, you go to medical school right after high school. So I had to make my decision out of high school when I was 16. So, and that's what my family wanted to guide me, because I was only 16. It's not like I had gone to college. I was in my 20s, and no, I was still living with my family. I was 16. And then when I was in my clinical years, there was something also that it really solidified my desire of do what I was doing, is to serve people. I also joined the Red Cross. And for me, that was an amazing experience, because at the same time I was taking classes and doing this, and I was volunteering in the Red Cross, and I was volunteering close to 4 hours a day with the Red Cross.
Wow.
In an educational program that was led to the youth. And the idea was the same thing. And that was kind of the same philosophy of my high school priest. They wanted to educate the youth to get them out of the situation. In this case, with the Red Cross, I need to help them, help the youth in these areas that we were teaching them. So how to do hygiene, how to take care of the water, how to do basic first aid, how to clean wounds, and teach them all these things. But I think the best experience in the Red Cross was a program that we had where twice a week, I think it was Tuesdays and Fridays, we will go out at night in a big ambulance, and we park our ambulance in a, we'll say, dangerous part of town. And because we were the youth, the Colombian Red Cross for the youth, we took care of kids that were homeless that have health problems. And twice a week for a long time, we were taking care of that. That really gave me a contact of what's not just poverty, but you think about a kid that left their home because of violence, because of lack of food, or because their parents will abuse them, and they felt that they were better off in the street than in their home. And I didn't have the resources to fix that problem, but they will come out now living in the streets with all these wounds, and they will come infected, and you have to clean them, and you have to do different things. But it's not just what we did for them, but in my mind, I recognize the need in these people. And these people came to us, and nobody really attacked us, because we were in a potentially very dangerous part of town in the middle of the night. But they knew that we were taking care of their kids and the street kids. And we don't see that here. That's something that you don't see here in the United States, because we have really good programs to protect our kids, but we didn't there. Yeah.
I'm going back to, I'm connecting these dots because I know what I saw in your face when you walked in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the depth of this connection you have to service, but I know what I see when I see it. Mm-hmm. And this is really interesting to me, because I'm wondering what kind of a spiritual moment it was for you when you made the decision that my life should be a life of service. Mm-hmm. Was it a certain mass? Did you have a spiritual experience where you felt like God called you?
Yeah, when I was in high school, we have, in the afternoons, after class, we had a prayer group where we will sit down together and we will read the scripture and we pray. And I do remember those meetings because they were extremely powerful. And that's where I decided this is the life I need to have, is a life of service.
Was there a particular scripture that you read over and over that you clung to?
No, I think it was the fact that we were as a group praying together.
That's pretty special. We need to take a break, because part 2 we gotta get you to America, because that's a whole other journey. Because
Yes. Uh-huh.
you could have done really well in Colombia, but you make the decision to come to the United States of America, and you build a whole new life here.
Yeah.
The language barrier, the whole thing. I want to talk to you about that journey.
Definitely.
My guest is Dr. Oscar Grandas. On part 2, we'll make the leap to America. This is Anything is Possible.